Today, I want to tell you all about how you can get started building your very first hybrid applications for iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows, and of course for the web, using .NET MAUI and Blazor to pull together the best of native and web into a hybrid application. So tune in. Hey everyone, I'm James, and today I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different, which is about building hybrid applications with .NET, specifically with Blazor Hybrid, a combination of Blazor and a framework that supports the BlazorWebView, such as .NET MAUI. Now, I've done previous videos here on the channel all about getting started, a full 4-hour workshop on .NET MAUI, and I'm going to put them up over there, down over there in the show notes, and all that good stuff. So if you're interested in a full walkthrough, beginner's guide of .NET MAUI, I have you covered of everything you need to know about building native iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows applications, all with .NET, C#, and XAML. But today, we're going to talk about hybrid applications, why you may want to consider building a hybrid application, especially if you're a Blazor developer, and how .NET MAUI and Blazor work seamlessly together. Now, if you are new here to the channel and you just saw that Blazor Hybrid thing, .NET MAUI thing, and you want to learn more, well, I got you covered with tons of videos here on my channel. I'm James Montemagno, and I put together videos on the .NET YouTube, my YouTube, on all the YouTubes, and all the channels. I love teaching, and I do all these videos on my personal channel in my spare time. So if you want more of this stuff, hit that subscribe button below and ding that notification bell so you get notified every time I put out new videos right here. New channel videos, yes, new videos right here on my channel every single week. All right, cool. Well, let's get into it. And what I want to do, in case you are brand new, is give you a very brief overview of what .NET MAUI is, what Blazor is, and then specifically how the two work together. And then we're going to jump into some code. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing you need to know is that .NET MAUI is the multi-platform app UI, and it's part of .NET. What this enables you to do is, at the core, is access and create native cross-platform applications for iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows, all using the native user interface and native stacks. Basically, inside of .NET, you have an iOS for .NET, an Android for .NET, a Mac Catalyst for .NET, and of course, for Windows, you have like WinUI or other Windows frameworks. Now, these are built and supported, the iOS, Android, and Mac bits are supported by the same .NET MAUI team, exposing the ability to build for those platforms with .NET. What .NET MAUI does, it builds on top of that and handles all of the multi-platform, cross-platform goodness for you automatically with a full UI framework, access to native APIs, and a whole bunch of other cross-platform goodies, such as single project, cross-platform fonts and images, and all sorts of good stuff in there. And again, check out the video up over here and down in the show notes as well. Now, the great part is that it's part of .NET, so you get all the stuff that you know and love from .NET. So the base class library, type unification, CLI support, SDK style projects, support lifecycle. You can target iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows, and hybrid with this BlazorWebView, which I'm going to talk about today. And of course, get access to all those productivity features in Visual Studio and Visual Studio for Mac. Now, normally in a .NET MAUI architecture, it looks a little bit like this. On top, you have the different platforms, iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows. And you can access all the native APIs inside of C#. So if you need to access something in iOS, you can still do that, which is really, really cool. But the majority of the code that we're going to write is shared code. Things like our user interface, our resources, accessing those cross-platform features like connectivity and geolocation, and of course your business logic. So things like models, view models, or RESTful service calls, database integrations, Azure backend integrations, things like that are all going to be consistent. And what this means is that you will be able to share a vast, if not all, of your source code between all of these different projects. But at the end of the day, when you compile up the iOS, Android, Mac, or Windows app, you're getting a native application that you can ship to the App Store, just like if you built it in Swift or Kotlin or something like that. You're still bundling it up into the native format, so you get to take advantage of all that goodness at the end of the day, but you can run your .NET C# code there, which is really cool. And what this looks like specifically is you get a single code base, a single project, and it's multi-targeted across the different platforms. So you get one project and you get all the different applications with native controls. So on Android, you get native Android widgets, you get UI kit. On Mac, you're getting Mac Catalyst, which you can have a UI kit or an app kit look and feel, whatever you want. And then on Windows, you get a WinUI 3 application. So you get all that stuff all bundled in. But .NET MAUI here is also home to being like the perfect use case for building and bringing in web components to build out a hybrid application. And you can use as much or as little as you want. So let's talk about hybrid a little bit and bringing those native capabilities to your web applications. So when I think of hybrid, I think of it like this: is today we're sharing and building out, different native components of our mobile apps. But what happens if I have a website and I want to bring some of those web components into it? Well, I can reuse my existing web skills if I'm a web developer, but I still want to be able to access native capabilities, mix and match UI. And ideally at the end of the day, if I'm working in a team, it should speed up my development time. I should be able to ship seamlessly to the App Store or internally if I want to, and just make the types of apps that I want. So when I think about this and people ask me, well, am I doing a .NET MAUI native application? Or am I doing a .NET MAUI plus Blazor hybrid application? Is there this or that? Like, what's better? It's like, what are you building? What type of developer are you? If you're already a web developer, having the capabilities to build hybrid apps, but running everything in C#, but still having the capabilities of the native platforms is a huge advantage. And that's what I want to talk about today. So, how are we going to build hybrid apps? Well, if you saw the title, I was talking about Blazor. And Blazor specifically is .NET's full stack web app framework built into ASP.NET Core. There's tons of good stuff in there. It works on the server, it works in WebAssembly offline, and there's sort of a third mode, which is a hybrid mode, which enables you to bring a BlazorWebView and render out Blazor controls and components into a framework such as .NET MAUI. So if you think about it here, Blazor on the left-hand side is your traditional web. Over here, MAUI on the right-hand side, it gives you access to Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. And then together with Blazor Hybrid, you get to take advantage and target all of those different platforms. So that's really, really, really cool. And what you're going to get still at the end of the day is those native applications, and you can bring in as much Blazor or as little Blazor as you need. Maybe you have one or two screens, or maybe it's your entire application. There's all sorts of examples out there that I'll point to and put in the show notes below as well. So what this looks like at the end of the day is that you get to take advantage of this vast ecosystem of .NET MAUI components and Blazor components and blend those two worlds together. You can now seamlessly share your Razor components across your entire Blazor website and all of your mobile and desktop applications as well. And again, it could be as much or as little as you want. Now, I've always been in the use case that I love native, but I think that this hybrid architecture gives you flexibility and for as much or as little as you need. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, before we go any further, I got to tell you about our sponsor for this video, Skillshare. Yeah, I've talked about Skillshare before, and they're back sponsoring this video, and you may know them because they have tons of classes in photography, film and video editing, illustrations, and so much more. And in fact, they have hundreds of classes that are career focused. And I think it's a great time. Spring right now, it's still the beginning of the year. Maybe you're interested in becoming a freelancer, starting your own business. Maybe you're just interested in what that even takes. What's a business plan? Or maybe you just want to get better at mastering some skills in your current role. No goal is too small. No matter what you want to learn, Skillshare is there for you. One of the classes that I've been going through is Mastering Your Productivity with Ali Abdaal. I absolutely love it. He shows you not only the best tools, but also talks through some different workflows to maximize your productivity. It is absolutely delightful. Another one that I think is really, really neat that I've always been fascinated about is how to start a successful online business. What is e-commerce? I'm a developer every single day, but what if I want to sell some coffee online or I want to sell some stickers online? What does that look like? Tracy Wallace is in a fantastic class that walks you through different e-commerce, finding your product niche, actually setting up your store. I'm excited about Skillshare, and I think you will be too. You got to check them out. And that's why I've partnered with them. And the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below will get 1 month free trial to Skillshare completely for free. 1 month for free. Use the link below. And thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and back to the show. Okay, when you want to get started, all you need to do is install Visual Studio or Visual Studio for Mac. And what you're going to want is the .NET MAUI workload. This is going to give you everything that you need. But of course, if you're doing Blazor development, you're probably going to want also the ASP.NET and web development workload as well. Now, I'll link to documentation in the show notes below, so it actually gives you a walkthrough of everything that you need. Now, Blazor Hybrid with .NET MAUI is supported even in .NET 6, but I'm going to be here in .NET 7, and you might be watching this when .NET 8, .NET 9, .NET 10 comes out, because it comes out every year, but it should be a very similar process. So just know the templates may look a little bit different as we're creating these projects based on what version of .NET you're using. But here I am using Visual Studio 17.6 Preview because I only do preview. That's kind of my jam, but the same will be true for your normal, just stable release of Visual Studio, whatever you're on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Visual Studio here. I'm going to say new project. Now, when I say new project, we're going to get all of our different project templates inside of Visual Studio. And if you watch my .NET MAUI getting started guide, you'll know that there is a MAUI dropdown in the project template. Now over here, you'll see I can access different languages, different platforms that are in here, and then of course, like where I want to go. Now, if you're under web, you're going to see all the different web things, such as Blazor server projects, Blazor WebAssembly projects, and things like that. And if you actually go under Blazor, you'll see the Blazor app specifically and the .NET MAUI Blazor app. You can find it under Blazor, or you can just go under MAUI, and you're going to find the MAUI app and the .NET MAUI Blazor app. Now, Blazor Hybrid works not only with .NET MAUI, it works with WPF and WinForms as well, but I'm only going to cover here .NET MAUI plus Blazor together in this hybrid scenario. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and create a new .NET MAUI Blazor app, and I'm going to call it, let's say Blazor MAUI app 1. That sounds good, whatever the default is, and just hit next. And you can select the framework that you want. I'm going to say .NET 7. Which is my current version I have installed. And of course, if you're using previews, you can also use .NET 8 and .NET 9, whatever you're on, whatever you have installed, it will be there as well. All right. So when I create this template, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the top right, and we're going to take a look specifically at the project that we're given. I'm going to walk through what it is. We're going to take a look at how we debug it, how we run it, how we modify the code, and additionally, how we tap into some native capabilities. So if you are a Blazor developer, the first thing you're going to notice is that there's a Razor file that came up. And this is how we create components and pages inside of Blazor applications. So here we have index.razor, there's an h1 tag, and then another component called survey prompt. If I right click on it and say go to definition, we'll see that this is another Razor file. This is in the shared folder. And it has some spans, some different HTML, and some code right here as well. Now, if we zoom in, we can see that I have these dependencies, and we have Android, iOS, Mac, and Windows. Those are the projects that I'm targeting. We also have a properties for launch settings, and more importantly, we have this dub root. And this is where anything specifically for Blazor is going to go, such as CSS, my fave icons, index.html, and a lot more. So here we can see we have Bootstrap all set up with our min class, so we can use that by default. It's basically the exact same template as a Blazor app. In fact, what we'll see under pages is that we have 3 pages. We have the index, we have a counter, and this counter is doing what you may expect, which is having a button that when you click, it increments the count and it puts it out here in the current count right here. And then we have this fetch data. This fetch data is using standard Razor and Blazor injection here. So we have our page of fetch data. We're using our Blazor MAUI app 1.data. We're injecting in this forecast service, which is being registered with our dependency service. And it's just doing normal Razor page stuff. So we have an if check. If we don't have any forecasts, we just say loading, else it will display this table. And here we are calling into that forecast asynchronously with a date time stamp. If we look at the data, we can see that we have a weather forecast service, which this is going out and it's just simply returning random data for us with date times. So nothing fancy there. And we have a weather forecast. So here we have a weather forecast object class that we have that's giving our date, time, temperature, and summary. And that's what's being displayed here. We can see it right here. And this is all Razor syntax. So if you are brand new to that, I'll put links to some documentation and some Microsoft Learn modules to help you learn some of that syntax. But it's basically enabling you to mix and match HTML and C# together. And additionally with Blazor, you can execute, you can put your code right here or in the code behind as well. Now, what I want to also show off here is that we still have a platforms folder. And if you've watched other MAUI videos, we can see that here we're targeting Android, iOS, Mac, Windows, and Tizen support too. And inside of here, anything specific for that platform for .NET MAUI. So in our main activity, we have a MAUI app activity, and we're accessing some Android namespaces all in C#. So that's coming in automatically for us. Same thing on iOS, we have an app delegate, an info plist, and this is just creating and starting up our application. Now, under resources, these are the MAUI specific resources. So if you're using things and modifying the app icon, or you want to have specific raw assets or splash screen images, you're going to modify those here in the resources. And then the shared folder is 4 different shared components that we have for our Blazor app. So here's that survey prompt that I showed you. We have a nav menu, which is nice, and we have a main layout. And this is all coming from our Blazor components and Razor pages here. So beyond that, we have a few other elements. So we have an app XAML, a main page XAML, and a main Razor, and of course a MAUI program. Our MAUI program comes in, and this specifically is telling the application how to start. It goes in and it says, please create and configure the application, configure fonts. And then here it's going to add the MAUI BlazorWebView. And in debug mode, when we compile that up, it's going to add developer tools and the debug logger. Here you can note that this is all just the same ASP.NET Core dependency injection service that's part of ASP.NET Core, but also .NET MAUI. And here we're registering our singleton for our forecast service, which, as we saw, got automatically injected into our fetch data up here up top. So here it is, inject weather forecast service. That handles it for us automatically. Now the difference here is this app, and this app specifically is telling what .NET MAUI wants to do to start up the application itself. So the app here has some styles and some resources that are used in the .NET MAUI page, because remember, it's a .NET MAUI app that's hosting a BlazorWebView. But here in our code behind, if I drop this down, we'll see that we have an app that is initializing a main page. And that main page, if we ever get to it here, is our .NET MAUI page. Now we are creating our main sort of container for the app in .NET MAUI. And then what we're putting inside of it is BlazorWebViews. So you can host as many native pages with a BlazorWebView inside of it that then render out native components. Now, when you are creating this, when you're navigating inside of a BlazorWebView from component to component, it's going to use the Razor and Blazor navigation system. You can still use the .NET MAUI navigation system if you want to use the native navigation hierarchy in an Android or iOS, Mac, or Windows application. And actually, I did a video with Alon, one of the lead developers on Blazor Hybrid at .NET Conf in 2022, and I'll put a link to that up over there and down over here too. But look at this here. Normally, our content page would be filled with things such as buttons or grids or things like a scroll view. These are native controls. And just like the native controls render native underlying components of the operating system, that's what the BlazorWebView does. The BlazorWebView takes advantage of the different native web controls, such as WebView 2 on Windows, and also the different web browser view controls on Android and iOS, and gives access to these different Razor capabilities to render those components inside of the Blazor WebView specifically. So here we have our root component. It has a selector of app, and this is loading up our main. And if I go into our main, we can see that our main specifically here, coming from an Blazor application, is loading our main layout. It has a not found layout here. And if we look at that main layout, which was in our shared, we can see that this is where we see our side nav menu, which would give us our options to navigate between, and also a main with an about page and the body here as well. So now what we can do is we just have our Blazor application and we can just go ahead and run it. And when I click on this drop down, we have the capability of deploying to Android, iOS, Mac, or Windows. Here, just by default, I'm going to select Windows and hit debug so it automatically deploys onto my local machine. Now you are going to have to put your machine into developer mode and it'll actually prompt you and let you know if you haven't done that. So make sure that you put it into that mode. But here, this is going to compile up a native Windows application and then deploy it onto my machine. So let's take a look at it here as it pops up and see what we have. All right. So we have our Blazor MAUI app 1 over here. We have our XAML Live preview that's showing up over here. We can minimize that for now, I think. But we have our app running. And what we can see is that if I make this bigger or smaller, it automatically adjusts based on CSS restyling. So here, if I'm more in a smaller mobile view, for example, I can navigate around. So I can go to the counter. I can go ahead and hit count, count, count. I can fetch data, get the weather data. If I'm over here, I'm in hot reload. Instead of just incrementing by 1, I could go back into my source code here and say counter. And then what I could do is I could say plus equals 10. I could just hot reload that, open up the app again. And now we're incrementing that by 10 every single time, which is cool. You can also dynamically change the application while it's running. So here we have the survey prompt, but I can also put in a counter and reuse that component from the other page. So now when I open up the app and I go to the home, we can see that I have the counter component there too. Now they're not sharing any state because every time I navigate here, it resets the state, but of course you can enable state in your application. But you get all of that hot reload, not only of your MAUI and C# components, but also of the Blazor Razor components as well. So you get all of that goodness built in. Now here, this is basically a 100% Blazor app being hosted inside of .NET MAUI. So if I hit F12, we can note that I actually get full dev tools here and I can hover over the different elements, right? So I do get this. And that happens because I've enabled the developer debug mode here for my BlazorWebView. So that's kind of cool, right? So I get all that stuff to show you that it's there. Well, let's go ahead and run this application now on Android. So I'm just going to go and say Android. And I actually have an Android emulator running here. And you can go into Tools, Android, and there's a little drop down here for the SDK and Device Manager. And the Device Manager will pop up. And there it is. And you can create new Android emulators. You can plug in an Android device, anything that you want. And I'm just going to hit Debug. Now, this is going to go through a full native compilation for the Android application, and then it's going to deploy it onto this Android emulator that I have over here. So this is going to take a few seconds because it's going to package it up for the very first time, and then it's going to deploy it. So let's go ahead and let it do its thing as it compiles up that native application, not only for a native Android app built with .NET MAUI, but with the BlazorWebView inside of it. Okay, so our application is starting up, and what we hope to see is our hello world. We have our counter here. We have everything that we would expect. And here we have the same counter, right? So we're getting the smaller look based on the form factor and the CSS styling. So all that stuff is there. Now, remember though, that this is again, just a BlazorWebView with a native Android web control. So that's what we're doing here as we navigate around, going in through that control, but it's still inside of that native application, which means that we still have access to the different native capabilities at the end of the day, right? And that's what's really, really cool. So I could go into the main activity, and here I could go and specify and call any of the Android APIs, but .NET MAUI also has different cross-platform APIs built in. It sort of abstracts those APIs as well. So check this out. Let's say we go back into the counter. And what I'm going to do is just copy this button, and let's make this button check internet. There we go. And I'll say check internet. There we go. And I'm going to do a private async void check internet. Let's go ahead and copy that there. And now what we want to do is check the internet, right? So the first thing we're gonna need to do is like, how do I get access to the internet? Well, the first thing that we need to do is actually get access to those APIs. Well, .NET MAUI handles that. If I go in and I say Microsoft.MAUI, I get a bunch of different APIs that are built in here. And specifically, there's things like networking. So I go networking. There we go. There's application model, which gives us stuff like app actions and app info and launching the browser externally and communication and sharing stuff. But we want that networking. There we go. And specifically, we have access to this connectivity API. And that's going to give us access to connection profiles, to the current status of the network access, and even change events when things happen. So let's first say var has internet, and I'll say connectivity dot current dot connection profiles, and or not connection profiles. No, we want dot network access. And I'm going to say equals internet. So if I have internet access, I have internet access. I'll say var, I'm going to say internet type. And again, I'm going to say connectivity dot current dot this time connection profiles. And I'm just going to say dot first or default. There may be none in there, so that's good to know. Now what we need to do is actually do a dialog, a little pop-up. Now we are inside of a web view, so we could pop up a web view control, but we want probably the native look and feel, right? So how would we be able to access that? Well, .NET MAUI has access to that. And specifically, the application and the main pages of .NET MAUI can render and display these native pop-up dialogues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say await. I'm going to say application.current. So that's the .NET MAUI application running. I'm going to say main page, and I can here say display action sheet, alert, or display a prompt async. And this is going to enable me to say internet and then give it a message. So here, let's just do something like this. And I'll say status, and I'll say has internet, and then of type internet type, and then I'm going to say okay. All right. And now when I run this application, I'm going to run it without debugging. So that way I can actually disconnect and show you what this looks like. What this is going to do is now run this check internet on this page, but it's going to go ahead, or on this component actually, because I'm using this component in multiple places, but it's going to go ahead and tap into those native APIs and do a native dialog pop-up. So I'm going to say check internet, and I'm going to say true, it's on Wi-Fi, totally good to go. And now here, if I go ahead and put this into airplane mode, there we go, say check internet. Now it says false, and that doesn't have a type at all because it is offline. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back into airplane mode, say check internet. Now it's cellular. If I go ahead and wait for the Wi-Fi on the Android emulator to pop up, it's going to just pick the first one. So it's still cellular in there, which is interesting and funny, but it'll be there as well, right? So we get that internet access and the native dialog prompts. Now, I can't reiterate this enough, and you might be wondering, well, how is this working? You just went offline, the app still works. Do I need a server? Do I need WebAssembly? How's this running? Remember, this is a Blazor Hybrid app. .NET MAUI is running that .NET code. And there's already a .NET runtime there. There is no server. There is no WebAssembly. It's just .NET MAUI handling all of that .NET goodness of that BlazorWebView and all of these components and controls too. So now if I go back over and run this on Windows over here, let me go ahead and run this. What we're going to see is we're going to get the same type of application that we have running over here, but specifically, it's now running on Windows, and we're going to get a native Windows dialog that will come up because, again, this display alert is handling that for us automatically. So here we go. This is going to load up. And again, we're going to get the app running here. There we go. We have this application running, check internet, and now I'm getting Ethernet here because I'm on a machine with Ethernet, which is there. So we get true, which is very cool. I'm not going to put my machine in to offline mode, but we get this native WinUI prompt that we would expect, which is really, really cool. And that's going to adhere to light theme, dark theme, everything like that inside of our application. All right. So far what we've seen is getting our actual Blazor Hybrid application with .NET MAUI up and running, deploying it on Windows and on Android. You might be wondering, well, what about iOS or what about Mac? Well, for Mac, you're going to need to go to the Mac and you're going to actually have to deploy it on a Mac, just like on Windows. For iOS, I actually have a full video of how to deploy .NET MAUI apps, including Blazor Hybrid apps with .NET MAUI, onto an actual iOS device without a Mac at all, just plugging into your Windows machine, or connecting remotely to your Mac as a remote build host to see an iOS simulator on your Windows machine, which is really cool. I'm going to put a link over here and down below as well, so you can go and check that out in the next steps. All right, so we've covered some components, but what about sharing code, right? What about sharing code between our Blazor Hybrid app and our actual Blazor web application? How do we do that? Let's take a look. Okay, so let's say now we have our Blazor, MAUI application up and running. What about sharing code between a Blazor application and my hybrid application? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new project, and let's go ahead and just add a Blazor app over here. I'm going to do Blazor server. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do Blazor app 1. Now, this Blazor app 1 is going to look basically identical to what we had earlier. So if I go ahead and set this Blazor app 1 as the startup project, we're going to also note that I have a counter, a fetch data, an index. I have a weather forecast, a weather service. I can just hit go and debug, and this will go ahead and launch my browser and then run my application. Now here in this instance, you're going to see that, well, doesn't this look basically identical, right? There's this. If I make this smaller over here, yeah, that looks pretty much it, because it's the same code, right? The templates share those same code components. So how do we actually go about sharing code between and components between these? Well, what we need to do is go into our project, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to say add. I'm going to say new project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, give me a Razor. I'm going to type for Razor class library. And a Razor class library is going to enable me to share different components between our Blazor app and our Blazor MAUI hybrid application. So I'm going to say Razor class library 1. There we go. Create it there. And now what we have is 3 projects: our Blazor web app, our mobile and desktop app, and our Razor class library here. Now this has one component that says this is a component defined by this library. Now let's add it first into our Blazor app. So I'm just going to say add project reference, our Razor class library. And now to use this, all I need to do is come in and say component 1, just like that. Now when I run this again, we're going to see our survey prompt, which is how is Blazor working for you? And then we're going to have our Razor class library component right here. So here we go, launch it up. There it is. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's amazing. It's right there. It's everything that you would expect inside of there automatically. And now guess what? I can add that exact same Razor class library over here. I'm going to say, drop that down, dependencies, add project reference, Razor class library. Now I'm going to go into my pages. I'm going to go into my index, and you guessed it. Let's replace counter with our Razor component 1. And I'm going to set the Blazor hybrid app as the startup. I'm just going to go ahead and deploy it to my Windows machine. And you guessed it, we're going to see the exact same Razor class library component here shared between our Blazor app and our .NET MAUI app powered by Blazor Hybrid. All right, let's give this a second to boot up. And we should see that we get the exact same look and feel of that component. I'm on a wide screen, so that's why I'm managing that around, which is funny. So there we go. It's the same exact component. So now, if I zoom in here, you could actually see that you could start to share all of these data classes, these pages between all of them, and basically the entire project, the entire app could be put into that Razor class library or other .NET 6 or .NET 7 class libraries and share that code there. So you could start to see how you can share out those different components inside of this data structure. Okay, cool. So that's how you get started. That's how you start sharing components. But what about, mixing and matching that web view, web components and the native components? Because right now it's just the entirety of the app. What if you want to make it a little bit more native, right? How do we do that? And that's really the beauty of Blazor Hybrid, is being able to mix and match those different pages however you want to. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to do the rest of my work inside of my Blazor MAUI app. I'm just going to close the tabs. The first thing that we want to do is I'm going to go into my main page here. And note that I'm using the navigation structure. I'm using just this main razor that's showing the nav inside of here. What if I wanted to use like native tabs, right? And I wanted to host those different pages inside of it. How could I do that? Well, I could easily do that, because what I could say is don't make this a content page, make this a tabbed page. Let's get rid of the background color here. And a tabbed page has different pages in it. So here, I'm going to say that this is a content page. I'm going to say title. I'm going to say home. There we go. And I'm going to wrap this BlazorWebView inside of a native component page of home. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy this a few times. I'm going to then do counter and weather. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, instead of putting these local components in it, I want to put the individual pages inside of it. So to get access to that, we can see here that we have local, but let me just do a new XMLNS, which is a namespace, XML namespace. I'll say pages. I'm going to say pages. Now here I can say pages colon index, pages colon counter, and pages colon. And here I'm going to go ahead and say fetch data. All right. Now the other thing I can do too is I could come in and let me go ahead and just add one other change here in the code behind, is that this was a content page. I'm going to make this a tabbed page. There we go. Now what I could also do is I could come in and say, you know what? I also want to, in my pages, add a native page. So let me go ahead and say add new item. I'm going to say dotnet MAUI. I'm going to add a new content page here. So I'm going to say new page 1. That sounds great. All right. And what this page is going to do is I'm going to say welcome to dotnet MAUI, but let's put like a button in here and say text, native button. Let's put in a, I don't know what else is in here. A checkbox. Why not? Let's put a switch in here. Why not? Put any control, basically native controls. And what I could do at this point is I could come in and say, this is new page 1, that's fine. I can go back into my main page and I can say, let's make that the next page. So I'm going to say local or pages, new page 1. I was adding a page in there. So multiple pages in this application. And now when I go ahead and run this, what we're going to see is that we actually get a bunch of different tabs inside of this application. Ooh, okay. Now, of course, once I delete this x colon name, because every component can't have the same name, so we don't need that. Now I should be able to run it and we should be good to go. Let's see here, fingers crossed, doing it live. So we'll get those 4 tabs. 3 will be Blazor and 1 will be a native .NET MAUI page with native controls. All right. Again, we get our application up and running. And now we're getting our native, tabs up top with those native animations, which is really cool. And I get this main page 1. So here's a native button. I get a native checkbox, a native switch here, which is really cool. So we get those nice little things. And then of course I'm getting just my BlazorWebView right here, which is really cool. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. And we're sharing all that code. Now, of course, I'd want to put some padding in here. I want to make it a little bit nicer. I could add light and dark theme support, all those different things there, get access to all of that stuff. But I get those native buttons, native controls. So you can see how you can mix and match these together. And I would also say this is that not only can you, mix and match these components together, what you could also do is you could come in and you could mix and match these pages together, right? So I could say, hey, let me, in this page, I'm just going to put a grid in here. I'm going to say row definitions. I'm going to say auto and star. And then maybe I want a button that is text native button in here. And I'm going to put this Blazor web view in grid.row 1. Now here, when I go over into my counter page, I might have to refresh this here. What we'll see is that we're going to get an actual blend between the native web view and the native control. So here we're going to put a button here on the first row and then the Blazor web view on the second row here. So there we go, our counter. And there we go, we get our counter here. So we're blending these worlds together, right? You can create your own page, you can put these Blazor web views in, or you can do whatever you want, which is really, really cool. So you can mix and match those different components together, which is really amazing to see. And the same thing will be true here. If I run this back over on Android, what we're gonna note is that we're gonna get, again, a very similar look and feel, because now we're gonna be using those reusable Blazor web views, and this time though, getting a native Android tab view, and of course our native page down here, page 1, that's going to be rendering out native controls. So here we're going to let this compile up and deploy again. It should take a little bit less time because it is the second time compiling up. So fingers crossed there that it takes a little bit less time. All right, our application is loading up. We're getting our XAML hot reload initialized, and now we have our different tabs here on top. We have our counter, our native Android button here that we can see with the ripple. We have our new forecast. So we have the native Android buttons and widgets over here, which is pretty cool. Now you could also put these on the bottom too on an Android tab page. So if I wanted to, I can come up here and I can actually say XMLNS Android. I'm going to say Android specific. So this is kind of a cool feature here. So I can say Android tabbed page, and here I can say toolbar placement, and I can say on the bottom. And when I go ahead and run this application again, now this is kind of a nice thing with .NET MAUI is that there's different tweaks for the different operating systems, kind of these platform specifics for iOS, Android, and Mac and Windows. Is that you can say, oh, I want these actually on the bottom because I have those capabilities. So now we're getting the different pages and controls down here, right? Which is kind of cool. So you're in control of what you want over here. You could wrap it in a navigation page, and you could have the nav bar on there and all that goodness, of course, that you would want. And you can enable and disable swiping through. And now I could go back in, I could add different padding, different spacing. I can really optimize it exactly how I want, but we're not blending these two worlds together, which is really, really cool to see. All right, so that is a whirlwind tour of .NET MAUI plus Blazor Hybrid all together, building out these native and hybrid web applications for iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows, and sharing code with our web app, all powered by .NET, Blazor, and .NET MAUI. What do you think? Are you a Blazor developer looking to go to mobile? Are you a web developer looking to go mobile or build a website? Or maybe you're a .NET MAUI developer that needs to blend in a little bit of web into your application. What do you think? Leave comments below. Let me know where you're at in your journey. Maybe you build something really awesome because it's been out for a while at this point. Maybe you're building some awesome stuff. Share with me. I'd love to see what you're building. I've seen tons of awesome applications. In fact, a really app that we built is the .NET Podcast app, which is a full-blown application that I'll put in the show notes below. That's not only a .NET MAUI app, a Blazor hybrid application, a Blazor backend powered by Azure services. Really, really cool. I'll put that down there too. You can just get it up and running and see a full application at scale built out. I love this stuff. People ask me, James, seem to be talking about Blazor and .NET MAUI and this and that. You know, I thought you're all native. Well, I like the ability to be flexible, right? In this day and age, we need to be flexible. We need to meet developers where they're at. Where are you at? Are you a web developer? Well, now you can build mobile apps with .NET. That's amazing, right? You know, you get this flexibility to do more. And that's what I think is really cool. Whether you're building with Blazor and Blazor Hybrid or .NET MAUI alone, you're building with .NET, you're building with .NET MAUI. It's a beautiful, wonderful world. I hope that you liked this video. If you want more stuff on Blazor or on .NET MAUI or specific things, leave it in the comments below. Down there too, in the show notes, I'm going to put links to my workshop. I'm going to put links to the beginner series, to Jeff Fritz, who did a full Blazor beginner series as well on the .NET YouTube, all sorts of good stuff over there. I want you to deep dive into this stuff and start building out beautiful applications that are native or hybrid or a little bit of both. Jam on that like button if you like this video. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I super appreciate it. So until next time, I'm James. Thanks for watching.